Hey guys, Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. We're coming up on Halloween, and I don't know about you guys, but during this time of year, I like to read scary stories. I like to set the mood. Anything that feels like fall, that's what I want to read right now. So I got a list of 10 books for you that kind of scratch that itch a little bit. These are all great, and they're perfect October reads, kind of leading into Halloween. We got about 2 weeks, so if you guys are still trying to decide what you're going to read leading up into Halloween, any one of these would be perfect. So yeah, we're gonna get into the list. First up is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. I had never read this before. I just read this like maybe a week or two ago, and it was a lot of fun. It's not super duper scary, but it's very atmospheric. It feels like fall. It takes place near Halloween, or like right before Halloween, I guess. Basically, it's about these two young boys, and a carnival comes into town, and the carnival is like evil. But it's really fun. The writing is very poetic and dreamlike, and his prose is just amazing. Like it's just a really great read. In fact, this might become a yearly Halloween read, like October read, just to kick off the season, because it is. It's a classic for a reason, and it's very good. Next on the list, we got Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bastarrica. I read this one a few months ago, and man, it has stuck with me. It's very good. It's a lot darker than Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's like a dystopian future where cannibalism has been institutionalized. You can buy human meat at like a grocery store or whatever and eat it. It's a really thought-provoking, interesting look at farming practices and things like that, and also just like capitalism in general, sort of. It's brutal and it's bleak and it's kind of depressing, but it's beautifully written and it's very good. Next up is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. This is our October read-along horror book club book. So if you haven't read it yet, you still got time. I recommend picking this up. I'm not going to talk too much about this one just because it is the read-along this month, and I don't want anyone who is going to participate in that to be spoiled or swayed one way or the other by my comments. So I'm not going to say really anything about it, but I finished about a week ago, and I guess that's all I'll say. Go out and read it. You got 2 weeks, and then in the beginning of November, I will post my discussion thoughts video about this. So stay tuned for that. I couldn't make this list without including at least one Stephen King novel. So here it is. Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This is probably his scariest book, and it's also probably his darkest. It's a story about grief. It's a story about the lengths that people will go to save someone that they love. It's a very dark book, and it gets you right in the feels. You definitely feel what these characters are going through, and you empathize with them, and it's just very upsetting. So if you're not familiar, it's basically this family moves into a new town. They live on this kind of busy highway, trucks go by all the time, and a tragedy occurs. The house is built near this Indian burial ground, and rumor has it if you bury a dead thing, a dead animal or a loved one there, they will come back. And so it's about the struggle of this father who is grieving, and the choices he makes and how they play out. It's very good. Next up is Tommy by Junji Ito. I almost recommended Uzumaki, but I feel like that one gets a lot of love on BookTube and elsewhere, and I don't hear people talking about this one quite as much, and I love this. I think I like it more than Uzumaki. It's so awesome. It's about this girl who like can't die, or when she dies, another version of her comes around. What I liked about it was each kind of chapter or section kind of felt like its own story. It was very episodic in that way, but then the last few of them kind of tie it all together into this one kind of cohesive narrative, which was something that I wasn't expecting. The whole time I just thought, oh yeah, it's just gonna be stories about this girl, but no, it really comes together in the end, and it was beautiful and great, and the artwork is fantastic. Next up, House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. Let me give a little disclaimer here. This book takes a lot of work. This is not a book you can just passively read and just get the whole experience. This is a really unique book, and it, on the surface, it's a haunted house story, I guess, where this book really has an identity that's different than pretty much any other book that I've ever read. Is the formatting and how it's told is like really engaging and weird, and like I'll just show you. So like all the pages, some of them only have like a paragraph, some of them have a few words, some of them are written in weird sort of language, different fonts. Some of them are upside down, some of them are redacted. It's just very, very strange. And so part of it is piecing together this mystery. You know, you've got like your main narrative, and then you've got footnotes that direct you to an appendix, and then in that appendix there's like letters written, and you have to use like a decoder to like decode the message that was written to the person, and then that reveals another message that ties all. It's a head fuck book, like, for sure. But that's what makes it so great, and that's why it's a lot of like fun. The book forces you to investigate what's going on, and it's awesome too because that plays into what the story is trying to say and what the story is doing. It's a very interesting, crazy book that is proper scary, and I think it works well for a Halloween read. Next, we got Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I liked this a lot. I didn't really care for the movie very much. I thought this was creepy and had some real moments of like high tension and scariness going on, scary stuff going on. So this is a story about kind of an apocalyptic event of some kind, where there's these things, these creatures or something out there that if you look at them, they make you go crazy and try to kill yourself and kill other people. And they're outside somewhere. No one's ever seen one, so we don't know what they look like. We don't even know really what they are. So that in and of itself is scary. Like the fear of the unknown is the main attraction. You have no idea what it is you're even afraid of, but you just know that it's out there and it will kill you. So that's one thing that works really, really well. The other part of not being able to see because you're blindfolded or you have to close your eyes, in those scenes where there is something out there creeping around, and you're inside that character's head, you feel their fear and their uncertainty, and they don't know whether like what they're afraid of is just the leaves rustling, or maybe it's actually one of the things that'll kill you, or maybe it's a person that's trying to sneak up on them, or who knows. And you never find out because they can't look. It was very effective for this story, and that's probably why it wasn't very effective as a movie, because movies are a visual medium, and if you can't show it, then how do you do that in a movie? So I think the movie was just, this isn't something that I think could be adapted into a movie very effectively, but the book is great, so check it out. All right, next up, They Thirst by Robert McCammon. This is McCammon's version of Salem's Lot, I suppose. If you want to compare the two, it's good. It's set in a large city. It's set in Los Angeles rather than a small town like Salem's Lot, but it's very good. And it's also set on Halloween. Robert McCammon is such a cinematic way of writing. You really can like easily visualize what's going on in your head. As you're reading, it plays out like a movie, which is his writing is just really, really awesome in that way. It's also pretty scary. The vampires are not watered down. They're violent and scary and a real threat to the whole world. The stakes are very high in this. I thought the characters were pretty interesting. I thought that just the story in general was fine. I will gripe a little bit about the ending. It was a little Deus-y for me, but overall the story was great. I thought it was really, really good. Next, we got The Fisherman by John Langan. This is a really, really good book. It is so well put together and well written, and it's just beautiful. It's a fantastic book. It's like Lovecraftian, weird, dreamlike story. It's like a story within a story, so it's got those like interesting layers. Most of the story is actually someone telling like an old fable kind of fairy tale type of a story to this group of fishermen, or these two fishermen, I guess. So while I was reading it, I was like, well, how does this all tie in? And then, but it just fits perfectly, and the story was great, and it's another story about grief and loss and the lengths that people will go to just speak to a loved one again. It's heartbreaking, and it's scary, and it's creepy, and it's atmospheric, and it's beautifully written. Yeah, I this one I can't recommend highly enough. It's fantastic. And the last book on this list is going to be The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is awesome. It's another vampire story. I feel like I kind of hit that a couple of times on this list, but I do love vampire stories, so whatever. And this one's unique enough. Grady Hendrix is a fantastic author. He's so much fun. Like, this is a fun novel, but it's also creepy and weird and scary and gross. He just writes his characters so well, and I get so angry when the main characters are talking about what's going on and nobody believes them because they're women or whatever. And it's like, it just, I don't know, it just made me so angry. And yeah, so he captures like the time period really, really well. It's set in the early 90s. It's just an all around fantastic vampire book. Kind of about this little small town and these housewives that are facing this horrible, evil presence in their town, and no one believes them that it's real. And it's great. It's great. That's the list. So yeah, if you guys are looking for something to read for Halloween, any of those will scratch the itch, I think. Let me know if you've read any of these, what you guys think, or if you have any other suggestions for me. I did one of these videos last year. I'll put it up here if you guys want to check that out with some other recommendations and stuff. So if you are like, oh, I've read all of those already, maybe go check that one out. You can see a few more. That's it, guys. That's the list. So have a nice Halloween, and I'm going to try to get a couple more videos out, some reviews and stuff between now and then. And then, check back at the beginning of the month for the Kill Creek discussion if you guys are reading that. Great. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.